Dun 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 dun. Flash! Ah! Savior of the universe! Bum, 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 bum. Hello and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies with special guests Tim Davis and Marie Meakin. Right? I said that right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. This is the podcast where all four of us went and saw a movie at our local Regal cinema, and now we're going to talk about it. In Matt's Honda Pilot, in the dark, scary part of the parking lot, we're going to talk about such things as, should you see this movie? Should you not see this movie? Should you wait for streaming? Do you need to gobble it up in the theater? Should you craft, nap, or snack during the movie? Or should you just sit there and, I don't know, let your brain escape? Whatever you want to do. Maybe we answer those questions, maybe we don't, but we'll try to give you a little something. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malloy, and welcome. Yes, we saw a movie tonight. This movie is called The Flash. And I'm not sure how that ties in with the song, other than the word flash. Is that a flash?
Yeah,
it's pretty
Flash.
They
Flash
both
Gordon.
have. Yeah, they both have.
I
lightning
see.
bolts and
I
everything.
see. Okay. No judgment. I just didn't pick up that connection. So now we've got it.
There was a point when I was in college, I was wearing this Flash shirt, and a lady came up to me and was like, "Oh, Flash Gordon." That's what memory popped in my mind when I was trying to decide what.
That's great. That is great.
I mean, similar logo.
Yes, lightning bolts for everyone. Yeah, so there's a bunch of people in this movie. Tim, tell us about the celebs.
Well, the aforementioned Flash is again played by Ezra Miller, who played him in, of course, Batman vs. Superman and Justice League. We have Sasha Calle makes her debut as Supergirl in this world. I don't know if she's been in a lot before this. This is kind of her breakout. Or I think she was on a soap opera before this. Due to the events in this film, we get some other people from the past. I won't spoil all of them, but the commercials have shown Michael Shannon returning as Zod from Man of Steel, as does his second-in-command, Angie Trow, who plays Feora. They're both in this. Ron Livingston is Barry's dad, Henry Allen, who, of course, we see from his tragic past. Kiersey Clemens plays Iris West again. She was briefly in Justice League, although I think that's the only appearance she made. Is that right, Todd?
I haven't seen her in anything else.
Yeah. And then, I suppose... Oh, we should mention, we have two different Batman in this. We have Ben Affleck shows up in the beginning, because that's, of course, the Batman that Flash would know. But we, through various events, run into Michael Keaton as his Batman as well. And I don't think we should ruin any of the other fun cameos that show up in this movie. Although I guess I'll mention Jeremy Irons is Alfred shows up in this as well.
Yes.
Very briefly, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so yeah, lots of people to keep up on, and yeah, there's plenty of fun, I would say, fun cameos throughout the movie. So what is this movie about? Well, there's a lot of stuff here.
There is actually.
But at the meat of what we've got is we've got Flash, and he's working at a crime lab, and Barry Allen is his name, not the Flash, but he is the Flash. And so he is doing that, and he is still pretty hung up on the fact that his mom was murdered when he was young.
Yep.
And so he is always thinking about that and how to kind of... And his dad got blamed for the crime. So his dad is in jail, and he's winding through some appeals and different evidence and stuff like that. Trying to get the conviction overturned because he didn't do it. So Barry's thinking about this a lot, and then as he is the Flash, he can run really fast. And one of his abilities when he runs really fast, he finds out he could see back into the past a little bit, and he decides that he might go back and try and maybe save his mom from dying. He runs really fast and does that, and And as it turns
Against
out,
Batman's advice.
yes, Batman says, no, don't do that. You don't know what's going to happen. You might destroy everything. And he doesn't listen and does it anyway. And he successfully saves his mom. And then things start to get weird. Guys, things get weird. Yeah, so it starts out that there's like all these little subtle changes. Oh, and he gets kind of trapped in the time period where his mom would have died, and meets up with himself, who gets powers, and in the process of that gaining powers, it's like the day that he gains powers in his past self. The past self, who's a younger doofus kid, played by the same actor, of course, he loses his powers, and so he's kind of trapped in this timeline. And so they're trying to figure out what's going on, and then suddenly General Zod is invading Earth, and it's going to terraform it, and so they're like, Future Flash is like, well, we've got to find Superman, and we've got to find the rest of the Justice League, Wonder Woman and Aquaman and all these people, and so he can't find any mention of those people. So he goes to talk to Bruce Wayne, and that's where we find Michael Keaton is Bruce Wayne, and Batman, but he's much older, and he doesn't really Batman very much anymore. But eventually they try and figure out where Superman might be, because Superman would be a big help in fighting Zod, as apparently happened in the sort of future normal timeline. So they do figure that out, but it's not Superman. Oh, they go on a quest to free Superman from a Siberian prison where he's being held, but they find out it's not Superman. It's actually Supergirl, Superman's cousin, although she's not really referenced as Supergirl, but I'm going to use that term because that's Kara is her name. Yes. Anyway, so then they get into a big fight with Zod, and Future Barry gets his powers back, and so the 4 heroic folks go into battle against Zod, and they end up, the future and the past Barrys end up trying to go back in time and keep fixing mistakes with this battle, and it's not going well, and things break apart, and then eventually they realize they're doing more harm than good. So, and then the end of the movie happens.
I would leave it there.
I'll leave it right there. So Todd, why don't you share with us your gut reaction to The Flash?
I will share my gut reaction, but I feel like I have to state first that there was no way this movie was ever going to truly succeed with me because of all the drama surrounding it. Like, not only the Ezra Miller stuff, but like the fact that, Warner Brothers and DC has basically scorched the earth of their movie stuff. So like who knows what's going on going forward? They don't know what's going on going forward. So like, there's parts in this movie where that I found myself not caring, because I was like, well, I know the future here, like, kind of, and it's not looking good for anything I might start to care about if I allow myself to care about anything in this movie. So,
the future, Todd. Are you the Flash in this
Have you already
timeline?
been to that timeline?
I don't want to say anything because I have a secret identity, but you just ruined it, and I could edit it out, but I'm not going to. So,
Well, that's how we do this podcast. One
Sure.
take.
Gut
Yeah,
reaction.
one take. So that was distracting for me, to say the least. Outside of that, though, I thought this movie was a little bit in the realm of other DC movies of late. This one was I thought, a fair outing. Like, I thought they mixed humor and seriousness better than what we've seen in the past. I would even argue they did that better than some of the Marvel movies we've seen recently. Like, I thought it was a better marriage of humor and the seriousness. The serious moments could happen. They were serious almost the whole time. It wasn't like jokey joke to get you through the serious time. And I appreciated that. Like I said, going into this movie, I'm a little burnt out on the multiverse. But and Tim, you had mentioned this, like, I think what I appreciated about is that there is some multiverse aspect to this movie. And there are some, like, you know, fun cameos that we're not going to spoil and stuff like that. But I thought it was all done in the realm of, like, it's not the whole movie. Like, the whole movie wasn't, like, cameo to cameo. Like,
Right.
you know, as much as I love Across the Spider-Verse, some of it felt like we were moving from, like, okay, what fun cameo can we do now? Like, it was like, okay, this character, this character, this character. This one was more...
Contained?
Contained, and it was more like the story was not the multiverse. The story was this intimate story about Flash. And there were multiverse components to it. Whereas I feel like most movies that have come out are solely about the multiverse, and then there's other components from the main hero who's in it. So I liked that aspect, and I mean, maybe I like it because I've gotten kind of burnt out on the multiverse stuff. I thought the acting was fine. Like, it's hard for me to look at Ezra Miller and not think of all the crappy stuff he's done as a human being. Like, so that's, of course, distracting. It was absolutely crazy and fun to see Keaton be Batman again. Like, and there were such great Easter eggs in the whole Batman scene. You know, like they show the Joker's laughing pouch and stuff like that from the first movie. And I was just like, that stuff was great. Like, I was eating all that stuff up. I thought the movie was super congested. Like, there's a lot going on. And honestly, it's mirroring a comic book story where there's a lot going on in the comic book story. So it's hard to encompass that in one movie. I think if there was no problems with Ezra Miller and DC wasn't scorching the earth, I think this could have been a trilogy. Like, and not that I'm ever truly a fan of stretching stuff out like that, but this story that they're mimicking from comics was so meaty and had so much to it that I felt like if it could have been done over 2 movies or something, I think it would have been a little bit better. Maybe majorly better. I don't know. That's just speculation. But, you know, better than I thought it was going to be. The drama surrounding this movie was always going to kind of halt me from fully enjoying it. I think if you're at all into superhero movies and you've enjoyed what DC has put out, then you're going to go see this movie. And I think if you're going to see this movie across the board, you should probably see it in theaters. I like the soundtrack of this movie. Like, not every scene was, what kind of hip song can we play that's going to make people giggle or something like that. Like, there was like 1 or 2 scenes where the speed starts to happen and it's like a song to kind of go with it. And like, that was okay, I guess. I don't like that kind of aspect, but they brought in the original Batman theme. Like, I thought that the orchestra that they did in a lot of this movie was much better. Like, it wasn't like every scene had to have a pop song in it, I don't know, to make you laugh or something like that. So yeah, I mean, but outside of that, this movie has its own problems. Like, I mean, it's a little, the pace of it kind of goes off the rails a little bit. But I thought it was a fair outing. It's hard to give a completely great rating to something when, like, there's just so much stuff surrounding it that, you know, already kind of affected how you were going to enjoy the movie, I think. At least for me. Other people might be able to put that stuff out of their mind, but...
Or not even know about it.
So, anyway, that's me. I think if you're going to see this movie, you need to see it in theaters. I think if you've watched any superhero movie in the last 5 years and been like, then probably skip this one. Because it's, you know, similar in a lot of ways. It's about the multiverse. A ton of movies are about the multiverse now. Like, so if you haven't felt what's come before, then feel free to skip this one. Marie?
Well, thanks for having me back.
Always a pleasure.
I enjoy time travel movies and books, so that was fun for me. That aspect of it. I know nothing about the drama that you mentioned, so I came in without any
Judgments of the actor.
actors.
That's probably a good place to be.
Well, I don't know a lot about the DC world. I enjoyed the cameos a lot, and the jokes, the funny things. But I thought it was a very dark movie, and very intense, and there was a lot of roller coastering for me, and jumping in my seat, and there might have been a little chest pain and need for ice cream afterwards. I did not enjoy that they made me cry. But it was fun to see what they did with the characters in the different timelines. I thought it was really heavy on special effects.
Right.
And that was I'm not sure what word I want to use, but distracting maybe was a good word from the story. There was just so many special effects and so many things happening. I didn't enjoy all of that.
Well, and the special effects weren't good.
Well, maybe that's why
I didn't find them to be good at
There
all.
were some sequences I thought worked, and there were some that were really wonky.
Yeah. I was kind of like, okay, when is this battle going to be over? It didn't do a lot for me. But that could be just me. I did enjoy Michael Keaton as Batman, and there was a good chunk of the movie where he was involved, and that was fun.
Yeah.
And I guess that's about all I have to say. And I agree with you, Todd. If you're into superhero movies and you're really into this group or whatever, it's a great one to see. But if you're not, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And definitely see it in the theater if you're going to.
Fair enough. Tim?
Yes, I'm with you in that this movie was kind of all over the place in ways. It jumps right in. Doesn't really establish much. You just kind of, things happen from the start. I guess that makes sense. It's the Flash. He's moving fast.
Hold on. Pause, Tim. I just need to put this out there. The first time we see Flash do his thing, he's saving babies falling off of a building that I could have done without.
Yeah.
That whole thing
that
I could have done
Yeah.
absolutely without.
Yeah. Well, they definitely wanted to set the stage of Flash doing hero things, and make it so much so that they loved it. Came back to it in the end credits.
Hero things, but he felt totally demeaned by the assignments he was given.
Yes,
it's true.
Because that's kind of the way they've written that Flash, to always be kind of worming about things and not knowing what to do.
Okay.
I don't know why they do that with him.
This is the first time I've ever met him.
Right, yeah.
So.
He was like that in the other movies. Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you got a problem with babies falling off of buildings, you should probably just close your eyes for the first 15 minutes.
Just for the record, that's not what made me cry.
No, I didn't think it was.
No, I think
I
have an idea.
I was squirming in my seat. I felt so weird about it.
Well, I was squirming because those babies were clearly fake, and they weren't even trying to make them look real.
Well, yeah.
They were not newborns.
Right, that too. But it did not look. Yeah, that scene looked. I mean, maybe they were going for that because it was just so over the top anyway. But yeah, I don't know. It was, special effects were just a weird mix of. Some sequences looked good, some just were where'd the budget go? I thought so a lot of this movie is Ezra Miller on screen twice in the same scene. And the old tricks from the old days would always be how you'd do that. But at the very beginning of the movie, I want to say the first 15-20 minutes of it, it was seamless.
Yeah.
It looked like there were two Ezra Millers there, and they were interacting and moving, and they weren't doing the simple split screen tricks or they were fully interacting without anything that I could detect that was making them separate. I don't know how they did that. That was impressive. But as the movie went along, the effects started to fade, and there were clear scenes where it was clearly a painted on face talking, like a video game scene. And I don't know how. If you got it so right at the beginning, what happened? This movie must have run out of money, because stuff that looked good at times in other scenes looked completely different. Like a different animation team took over. and it was very strange.
Yeah, at times it looked like they were using the deep fake stuff.
Yeah, and
Like, I was like, that's just a
you're
random
above
dude
that
in
at
the
this
scene.
point.
Yeah, you're using deep fake from, I don't know, Snapchat? I don't even know
Yeah,
which
I
one.
don't even know how they do that stuff. But it was just like, yeah, the movie was a mishmash of everything. And like, some of the acting scenes I thought were better than I expected. Like, I thought Ezra showed more range than I think he's ever shown as Flash. But he also has a lot of those quirks that make his Flash the weird, socially awkward Barry that he is, which I don't really associate with Barry Allen in any version. Like, they don't play him that way on the TV or even the new or the old show. I don't know, there's something about the way Ezra plays him that I don't like. And so it was hard to fully invest, like you said, fully invest in him. And the movie is called The Flash, but I was just more interested in everybody else around him. And like you said, the music was great. It was nice to have a movie with more orchestra than soundtrack. That reminds me of the old movies.
Yeah.
Like, that's what all superhero movies used to have, was that thumping orchestra that was like, fit the scenes, and they went up and went down when it was supposed to. And like you said, hints of Elfman's Batman theme.
Yeah.
I thought I heard the Superman horn at one point. Like, they tried to use more established superhero music. And Wonder Woman's theme shows up at one point, and it's nice because it gives you that nostalgic feeling. But the movie itself is kind of a mess. But like you said, it's not as much of a multiverse movie as you might think it's going to be. And that could be a disappointment or good, depending on your point of view. I think the commercials and the hype made you think it was going to be more of one. And I don't think it really was. Like you said, it was more the central story of Barry trying to see his mom again. And it just caused multiversal effects.
Yeah.
Which is fine. And it worked better because of that. But yeah, overall, I do sort of recommend it if you've been on the DC journey to this point. Because it really kind of depends on you kind of having seen a lot of it. Because the references it makes are like assuming you saw Man of Steel, assuming you saw the other movies, because some of the cameos are based on, there's a small character from that movie. And yet, like you said, it's also, we don't know where DC's going in the future. So the point of this movie is interesting. Like, what are we doing here?
Right.
What's the overall end game? And I don't know if there is one. So it's an interesting movie that exists in this weird, nebulous time zone. And maybe we'll see where it fits later. But again, that's not why you see a movie in the moment. So my initial reaction is, I did enjoy it. Like you said, I think it was a good mix of humor and serious moments, and it didn't seem as forced as some stuff. And Keaton clearly had a blast playing Batman again. Almost had like a wisdom to him, like I've been here, done that, and it's nice to be back in this role. But yeah, I don't know, and I can see why other actors, like even Michael Shannon, has come out since saying he didn't really have any fun playing this because he was just playing the same guy all over again without any real weight in his scenes. And after seeing it, I'm like, yeah, I get it, Michael.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Overall, I think I would also say you got to see it in the theater, and you might as well see it if you've followed the DC Universe movies to this point. Matt?
Well, I have the perspective that I don't really know what's going on with Ezra Miller, and I don't
look it up. You don't want to know.
Okay, thank you. And I don't really know too much about what's going on with DC. I know a little bit just from what we've talked about on the podcast, really. But so I was able to come into this movie without much baggage, I guess.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed myself. I had a good time. I thought that there was a lot of funny parts, and I think better than your typical throwaway superhero jokes. I thought that there were a few times where I chuckled or laughed out loud during the movie.
And I will say our audience was very receptive to this as well. Like,
yes.
The laughter was a lot
Very
of genuine
audience.
laughter,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like not just laughing because we're having fun. Like good written jokes that made people really laugh.
Yes, and I also say that as much as I could have done without the babies falling off the building scene as well. It did yield one of the best jokes in the movie, I thought, when they used the term baby shower.
Yes, that was actually, I did chuckle at that.
That was an unexpected little treasure nugget there of humor. So, yeah, and I also thought that this movie brought the emotion when
I didn't expect that either.
when it needed to, and you really felt the gravity in certain scenes of what was going on the screen. And yeah, I teared up a bit too during this movie. You're not the only one, Marie.
Thank you.
And
This is why we're friends.
It almost got me too.
Friends.
This is this. Anyway, I
Good luck recovered.
I thought that the combination of the humor and sort of the heavy emotions in this movie was great. I thought they hit very well on both those aspects. So I liked that. But the parts that were troubling, let's get to that.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of backstory or history with watching all of the DC movies. There's quite a few that I've skipped out on. And I felt that.
Yeah.
I felt
I can see that.
I picked up on a lot of the cameos. I caught a lot of them, but I feel like there were parts of the plot and things referenced and those that they didn't do a very good job of filling in the blanks for anyone who hasn't traveled that whole path.
No, they did not.
And I felt at times I was like, what? Why? Huh? I don't get it. So that kind of is going to drag down my overall feeling about the movie, but I still had a good time. It's funny you guys mentioned the big orchestral music a lot. I thought at the beginning it was overused a little bit, like Batman's jets coming in and there's horns blaring the whole time.
I agree with you. I was like, this music is obnoxious.
But that's how those movies were. Man.
That is how those movies were, and it doesn't have to be that way today. That being said, there was only some parts at the beginning where I really felt that. Overall, I felt that the music was fine and appropriate. And I really thought that Ezra Miller did a good job playing his young, doofy self and drawing a contrast between that and his future or present self. Those were two different characters to me. They felt like two different people, even though the same person's playing them. So kudos to him for that, despite whatever baggage he has in his personal life. I thought he did a fine acting job with that. So overall, I really, like I said, I really liked the balance of comedy and dramedy. And I loved all the cameos, and I had a good time watching this movie, despite what will affect my final score and them not filling in some blanks for me.
Yeah.
But I would say, if you've been watching DC movies, I agree. Go see this one. I think if you're a Flash fan, like if you've watched the whole TV series and stuff, I think there's probably some good tie-ins. With that, no? None?
There was a tie-in. They used the same restaurant, the same bar from the show.
And the original Jay Garrick actor was playing Jay again in that one shot.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Not Wesley Shipp, though.
Well, that was
See, all that stuff goes way over.
Yeah, I wouldn't have expected. Yeah, you get that.
I was just about to bring up John Wesley Shipp.
He was not there.
And his fact of not being in this movie.
I thought that would have been a nice touch.
It would have been a nice touch.
But he's showed up on a lot of the TV shows.
Okay. Well,
he has been a big part of the TV.
I'm glad to hear that. And
including as the 90s Flash in their version of this movie.
Nice.
Where there was a TV special where they did basically 4 episodes of their various shows that did something similar to this, and I actually thought did multiverse stuff better, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah, we're not
Yes.
reviewing that.
But I would like to throw out a plug for John Wesley Shipp's portrayal of Dawson's dad on Dawson's Creek.
Thank you. That's the connection.
I think that's where I became exposed to him rather than the Flash
And the
series
Flash
that he
TV
was
show.
in.
I wanna wish
Yes.
life to be over.
Well, anyway,
Yes.
yeah. So I had a good time, and I can recommend this movie with some caveats.
All
Good
right.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, honestly, the only thing in my head right now is how many Michael Keatons would you give this movie?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I just genuinely never expected to ever see him in a Batman costume again.
Yeah.
And it brought back all the feelings of childhood. So, obviously, Zero being the worst, because then you have no Michael Keatons, and that's just...
Then you're just a
Come
background
on.
movie.
Yeah, then you're a movie that won't even ever be released.
Nope.
And then 5 being the best, because then you got 5 Michael Keatons, and that's a good time, and a lot of partying around Wayne Manor, and all that good stuff. So,
Yes.
Matt,
So I'm going to go with 3.5 Michael Keatons out of 5, and that's really based on my enjoyment of the movie, and it was able to evoke different kinds of emotions from me, which is always a big point getter, or Michael Keaton getter in this case. For me,
because you're an emotionless monster, is that what you're saying? And if it draws it out of you?
No, I'm an emotional creature, Todd, and if it can tap into that, that's
a
going to
good
be
experience
a
at the
huge plus.
Good
right.
stuff.
So, so 3.5 for me, and I said who should see it, so I won't say that again. But
Nice. Marie?
I'll give it a 3.
Tim?
I was right around there too. I have a 3.1 for myself.
Nice. I'm trying real hard to separate my review of this movie from my personal feelings about everything I've already shared. So I'm going to attempt to give a review that's just based off of what I saw
Yeah.
without the connecting stuff, which I think is hard, but I'm going to shoot for it. I landed on a 3 as well.
Okay.
That I think if you're able to just go in and ignore all the other stuff surrounding this movie, I think you'll have a good time. But who knows? You might be like me where that stuff's hard.
so let me ask you this, Todd:
Mm-hmm.
if you include all of that stuff into
What
it,
would your reaction?
how many Michael Keatons would you give this movie then?
Unfortunately, I think it'd probably be like maybe a 1.3 or something like that. Like just because in this day and age, for someone of a celebrity status to do the things that Ezra Miller has either been confirmed to have do or rumored to do, it's hard for me in a world where we're trying to keep people accountable
Yeah.
and there's
Here he is.
no
this
accountability for,
multi-million-dollar movie.
and it also, I'm not gonna say this on the podcast.
Yeah,
Never mind. I can
Leave
talk
it
about it
there.
afterwards,
Leave it
but I'm
there.
not gonna
Leave
go
it.
deeper into it. And then also the fact that like we don't know the future in the sense of like they're firing actors from DC left and right at this point. Like we will not see Henry Cavill again. We will not see Ben Affleck again. Like, and who knows about Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot and like all this, like who knows? Like, and I don't like that. Like they're scorching the earth. So it just makes me feel like, how can I truly be invested in these characters if I don't know they're going to be back for another movie? The only person we know is going to be back for another movie is Jason Momoa because Aquaman 2 is still coming out. Like, and that's it.
Yep.
Like,
He's right.
everything else is a new slate of movies that theoretically will have new actors a part of them and stuff like that.
No
So,
connection to that.
that's what's hard. That's what will bring it down.
There you have it. Wow, that's good. Well, we'll use your
3.
we'll use your 3 in this case, but it's good to have that other.
Well, I think 3 is more my gut reaction, and the
Yes.
1.3 is more like if I consider all the variables.
Informed.
That's fine.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Well, any last minute thoughts before we wrap up this episode?
I think that's it.
Nothing.
I know.
Cameos- the
I've talked a
cameos-
lot this episode.
The
so I'm trying not
cameos
to-
are fun,
The cameos are fun.
and I wish they could have pulled off more of the ones that the director wanted to do.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's going to wrap it up then for this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, where we reviewed The Flash, and we gave it an average rating of 3.15 Michael Keaton's out of 5. That's a decent rating, and I think with some caveats, we recommend you see this one, and yeah, go out to the theater and watch it. So thank you for listening to the podcast, downloading, subscribing. If you aren't doing those things, do those things. I don't know how you're hearing this, but, get on the stick. Let's go. Subscribe.
Yeah.
We did have another 159 download week.
We did.
Last week.
We love that.
Someone must be downloading like crazy.
If you have the ability to download easily all of our over 200 podcasts every week, that would be perfect.
Yeah.
Please do that. Thank you. And we will see you next time.
Da 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 da
Da da
da da da.
da da da.